Canadians ought to be really concerned and even ashamed that they're getting such a worldwide reputation, and including in some parts of their own country, for being an enabler, facilitator, and harborer of extremists and terrorists. It's really sad. People of extreme opinions who advocate terror and killing in India are running rampant and running free. That's why these are the elements who have come and attacked Hindus in the temple in Brampton. This entire incident has been one more sort of shameful reminder of how low Canada has allowed itself to sink because of short-term petty politics. They should have maintained certain standards. I mean, there is really no equivalent, I think, anywhere else of the kind of running amok that the so-called Khalistani movement, which has no traction anywhere else except in Canada, is having. What's frustrating about this for all of us watching in India is that we actually valued a good relationship with Canada.
So how do you see the early trends of the US elections are showing that...
It can be very misleading. You know, the truth of the matter is that the way they count in America, and it's a physical counting process, as you know, they start off with the less populated rural areas. In America, the dense population is all the urban areas. Now, it so happens that rural areas are strongly Republican and Trump inclined in many, many states, whereas cities tend to be much more liberal and democratic inclined. And therefore, once the city votes come in, the picture is changing. Already the Associated Press news agency, which about 15-20 minutes ago had Trump in a very big lead, is now showing electoral college votes at 220 to 205. Very tight. So I think we just have to be prepared to wait until the final count is in. Plus, there may be challenges, as we saw in 2020. The final result took a couple of days to come because Trump was challenging in 3-4 states. Let's see what happens. It looks like a very close election, come what may.
So how do you see the winter session of the parliament is commencing from 25th of November and 26th of November? The government is celebrating the Constitution Day.
In the old parliament. I mean, there is a certain irony to all this. Their abandonment of the old parliament itself in many ways symbolized their decision to completely break free of all the traditions and culture and politics of the past and create their new India. And now they're going back there to reaffirm a constitution that the Hindutva movement has always rejected. I find this quite amusing because having studied the works of Deen Dayal Upadhyay and Golwalkar and indeed many of the other RSS and Hindutva inclined writers, they all rejected the constitution. They said it's un-Indian, it doesn't have any soul of India, it should have been written for a Hindu Rashtra, and this is an Anglophile constitution written by English educated lawyers. They were very, very negative. Now they're celebrating it. So it's quite amusing. I think they've figured out that you can pay lip service to the letter of the constitution while in many cases violating its spirit.
So how do you see the Indo-Canada issues going on? There are attacks on the Hindu temples. And
that's shocking. I mean, I think the Canadians ought to be really concerned and even ashamed that they're getting such a worldwide reputation, and including in some parts of their own country, for being an enabler, facilitator, and harborer of extremists and terrorists. It's really sad. I mean, to this day, as you know, no one has been effectively punished for the Air India bombing that killed 360 people in 1985. Indeed, the gentleman who has publicly taken credit for that bombing is considered a hero by one of Mr. Justin Trudeau's closest allies, Jagmeet Singh, who heads the NDP. On top of that, you've got a situation where people of extreme opinions who advocate terror and killing in India are running rampant and running free. And that's why these are the elements who have come and attacked Hindus in the temple in Brampton. I think this entire incident has been one more sort of shameful reminder of how low Canada has allowed itself to sink because of short-term petty politics. They should have maintained certain standards. I mean, there is really no equivalent, I think, anywhere else of the kind of running amok that the so-called Khalistani movement, which has no traction anywhere else except in Canada, is having. And what's frustrating about this for all of us watching in India is that we actually valued a good relationship with Canada. Many of us have visited that country. There are many Indians living there. There are the vast majority of Canadian Sikhs are peace-loving people who still are who retain very affectionate ties to India. It's a small fringe, even amongst the Sikh community in Canada, that's being able to get a free run of their country's freedom of speech, so-called.
So how do you see the response of our government? Because the opposition is demanding to have a all-party meeting and to get aware of the opposition that what is going on. So how do you see this?
No, I think on these matters, the government should find it in its own interest to keep all parties involved. Because this is something, first of all, a matter that transcends politics. It's something that affects the pride of every Indian. And I must say that as far as the two countries are concerned, there are larger issues at stake than the political career of one Canadian Prime Minister or the politics of one Indian party. It's all parties should be interested. So I support the demand that there should be more widespread consultation. In any case, we've been getting a briefing from the Foreign Secretary in our External Affairs Committee, and I don't see any particular controversy because there is a great deal of solidarity on this issue across the country.
So that is what I'm asking about. That there are reports but you have also corrected this thing, that the Foreign Secretary will be briefing the parliamentary panel on the.
But actually, today is our discussion on the so-called demands for grants. Normally every year the committees approve the budget and discuss in detail the budget of the ministries they cover. But when you have an election year, the budget already passed in July has to still go through a committee. So this is a kind of retrospective discussion, but it will be fairly detailed discussion. And only after that, whatever is pending from the previous meeting, which will include the Indo-China update on the border and the India-Canada situation, depending on how much time permits, the Foreign Secretary will be there, so he should be able to update the committee on this.